Misplaced maternal misplaced maternal. Fuck, what do you call it? What?
Instinct.
Instinct. That's the one I'm looking for. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, wait,
So
was that a woman
yeah,
advising
that
you?
was my missus.
Okay,
Coming in there
well,
to help
she's
me.
doing a great job because she's supporting you in your mission. Hey,
She's well taught.
that
Trust
is
me,
exactly what a woman should do.
a hundred
Congratulations,
percent.
Leroy.
I've got a good one. You know. But no, I do think there's a lot of misplaced maternal instinct there. These women, rather than settling down, having children, and looking after their own, instead they're trying to look after the whole world and try and manage everyone else and ensure that they're all going along the long paths. But with that, they're not looking internally for a moment. They're burying whatever's going on in their own life and trying to babysit the whole world instead. I think I think that's a lot of the problem with why we have such feminized men at the moment is because they've got too much mama attention. Unfortunately, not enough father attention.
Yeah, and
Father Hunger. Yeah, there's a book by Doug Wilson. Don't agree with everything that Doug does, but he talks about the importance of fathers. And I think the book came out like 10 or so years ago. It's a good book.
well, a lot of women are also ignorant. See, here, Leroy, I would ask you a few questions. I see women in the media, right? All women want to do is become a content creator, a social influencer of some sort, right? And then she gets the clout, she gets attention, she gets the money, she gets the independence. And I get your point when you say that women would be better at home raising children. I completely 100% agree with that. But the problem is, even with the families where they have children, a lot of women, they are ignorant of what happens around them, in the world. And like, this is why they have high expectations for men. This is why they are unrealistic with their own sexual market value. And they basically emasculate their own husbands also, you know and while they are being married and like taking care of the children, going internal, right, sorting out themselves, let's say, it's not an excuse. I think that they can't be ignorant to what happens around them, and I think this is where people would call them, or you care about the world, you care about society a little too much than you care about your own family. um, I just don't think it's necessarily true, because like, look, I have, like, no, I might be a rare example out there. I have my own family, right? I have a husband, but I still do care what happens in the world and what happens in our society. Partly because I don't have children, and I agree with you there. I spent quite some time watching other people's content, and instead of focusing on having my own family, like to its fullest potential, let's say, instead of raising my own kids, yes, I spent time, trying to save the world, let's say. But yeah, it's it's an interesting thought. You made me thinking now.
Well, I
I
think
don't think
you get
it's
a lot of women that come into their 30s, and in the mid to late 30s, and then they start like desperately wanting to have children. But
Yeah,
prior to that, I think that they're quite active in other people's lives. Say whether it is social media, those sort of things. That's the thing that I think is that maternal energy just being placed somewhere else because
true.
they're realistically that for the betterment of the species and for their own lives, and for the potential young ones, that would be the best focus of their energy. But it just doesn't seem to be popular in this generation, or the last generation as well. To be honest with you, I'm sure you all realize that the birth rates are dropping
Mhm.
rapidly at the moment, and I think it's because parenting is just seen as very uncool, which is a shame. But I think I would say that's probably turning around quite a bit at the moment.
No.
Don't know what your thoughts on that are, because I genuinely do think we are at a tipping point. You know, we've reached the edge of how bad things are going to get in this, and I'd say pretty quickly, you know, well, relatively quickly, you know, within the next 25, 30 years, I would say we'll start to see a sharp uptick in birth rates and more stable families.
You know, this all goes to purpose. Okay, I'm 61 and a half. I have no biological kids. I have 2 adopted kids,
Beautiful.
2 adopted daughters, and 2 stepdaughters, divorced twice, but no biological. And I always wanted biological kids. Didn't happen. So now at this point in my life, I still have my fatherly instinct. So my outlet is doing this YouTube channel and helping out others and providing what kind of has come into fatherly advice, kind of the old man wisdom. That's Siege calls me the old man, the old geezer. I said, oh, okay, I guess I can do that. But it gives me an outlet for my purpose. And for Elena, I mean, yeah, she has a desire for children, just like I did. But that doesn't mean she can't be fulfilled by uh, trying to guide other young women. That's her motherly instinct. That's her purpose. That's her mission. It's that same desire in her heart to help those younger. And so find that outlet, because women who hit the wall or in their 40s and they have all this desire for their own children, what are they doing to help others, to guide others in their wisdom? They're not. They're just not. And they haven't realized, hey, there are other outlets for this passion, for this desire, for this longing.
Well, that could partly be to do with the breakdown of, you know, small communities. So that's not something that we really have anymore. And small communities used to be built out of families. You know, families would hang about with each other, their kids would hang about, and you would have a small community. But that doesn't really be something that we seem to have anymore.
Yep.
No, it's definitely not that way, as far as I can see. Anywhere that I've lived recently, that seemed to be pretty much dead in the water. And I think a revival of
Yes.
small communities would be one of the best things that we could do. Then, if you do have any real issues, you can sort it out internally. You know, there'd be a lot less of this degeneracy, let's say, as well, because you would have each other being accountable for one another. You know, does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And what, you came on here today. Why? Because you're trying to replace that loss of that local community with an internet community of like-minded people where you can talk about some of these things to someone else and have some good discussions. And we're all trying to replace that local community with an internet community. And yeah, we're doing some good because people can watch us and they can kind of learn some things and understand, okay, yeah, here's what I'm missing. Purpose and community. But let's face it, this internet stuff, this internet community is not the same thing.
It's not.
Absolutely not. No. There's generally no replacement for the real thing, you know. And I'd love to know what your thoughts on then of how we get back to the original communities, away from this like parasocial relationships that we all have online.
Well, I can I can answer that one.
Go for it.
We're not gonna get back there. There's nothing we can do to bring that back. It's in God's control. And just look at the cycle. We're kind of at a peak of some cycle here. And in order for communities to be recreated, and they will be, it comes down to the need. You have to need each other. And I mean physically, need each other for
Mhm.
provision, for protection. You have to work together and be forced to work together for your own survival. So at some point, you know, I do believe the way the world is going, the way the U.S. is going, all these transfer payments are going to go away. And I do think that all these single women out there are going to say, damn, I sure wish I had a man around.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes the whole societal situation. And when people need each other, they're going to be recreated. Now, is it going to go back to, oh, wonderful? No, it's going to take probably at least 1-2 generations to actually get back to something like that. I'm probably not going to see this great community in my lifetime, but I probably will see the tipping point to go back in that direction.
So would you say that it's hard times that we need? I would say what you're describing then sounds like because life is too easy for us, we don't really need one another as such. Whereas we need some
In a
hard
nutshell,
times to bring us back together.
yes. Yes.